Okay, thank you all for attending our short summer series of webinars. We're going to try and do these once a week for the next 5 weeks or so. We are hoping this is going to kick us off today, and then over the following weeks you're going to be able to have a really big part in these events where you can ask us questions and ask questions of the guests that we have. And we've tried to pick people that we think you'll be interested in. So just to remind you, we often use Mentimeter on these sessions. So to get you warmed up, if you can go to Menti using code 73966180 and tell us about your summer holiday. Does feel like that, even if you have a week off by the Monday lunchtime, doesn't it? Yeah, people staying in the UK, time at home, list of jobs, I imagine, if you're having time at home. The important thing to remember with any of those things is to switch off your email. Wonderful. So at least 25 of us can work the Mentimeter. That's brilliant. Now, Nicola would probably ask me to remind you all, if you are going to Cornwall on your holiday, make sure you introduce yourself and your children to the lifeguard when you get there. Am I right, Nicola? Yes, thumbs up at me. Okay, thank you for doing that. So to reintroduce ourselves, I'm Kay Keane, practice manager at Alvanley Family Practice, and Robin can't make it today. She's got a meeting that she can't cancel, but we've got Jo somewhere who's going to wave at us.
Hi everyone. Hi, lovely to see you all. Amazing.
And Nicola, is she waving? I can't see her face. Has she gone?
Yeah. She's waving.
Yeah. Okay, amazing. And then just to remind you of the other people that are supporting us, as ever, Practice Index are hosting this for us today and providing some background support. And we also have Louise from Wessex LMC, who's been a constant supporter and help to us. And James Kingsland is still with us, helping us with our accreditation process. But the faces, or some of the faces that you may not know too well yet, are our regional representatives. And we're really excited that these people are giving their time. As you know, none of us are taking any payment. They're giving their time to support you and to support general practice, and to really make sure that the voice of practice management is out there, and really act as a bit of a funnel. Sorry to describe you as funnels, chaps, if you're on the call, but to get some of those issues down and to us so that we can raise them at a national level. So this is just a proportion of I think we've got about 21 regional reps now. If you don't know who yours is, you might recognise their face off there, and keep watching our social media, and we're introducing the last few over the coming days. Announced yesterday was our new rep for Scotland, so we're really delighted now that all 4 nations are represented, and Stephen, along with our colleagues in Wales and Northern Ireland, are doing an amazing job, and we're going to make sure that our events and our focus looks at all 4 nations, not just at England. Okay, so did somebody say something then? No? How do you think we're doing? Are we starting to make a difference? So bearing in mind that we've only actually known each other as the directors since December, maybe last year, so not quite a year. Are we doing what you'd expect in a kind of 6-8 month period? Oh, it's so heartwarming to see all those yeses. Are there things that we can do that you think would be quick wins, that we could get our voice out there, our profile out there? If there are any ideas that you've got, bob it in the chat or speak to your regional rep, and that person will be able to help you and get messages back up to the team. And if it's something easy and something quick, we can get it done in normal practice manager style, which is sort of straight away. Thank you all. That makes all the hard work worthwhile. Those of you that are not sure, we'd be really interested in your comments as well. Thanks. Right, I'm going to hand over to Nicola now for this slide.
Hi everybody, fantastic to see so many of you today, and hopefully we can give you a taste of what we've been doing since we last saw you, because we've all been beavering away in the background. So we went viral. The If I Diet Will Be Your Fault video, and you can see the stats there. I mean, 255,000 views on YouTube is just amazing. Just can't thank everybody enough for retweeting, sending that round, and it has had a lot of impact. Interestingly, we did have a couple of emails of concern about the video being played in surgery waiting rooms. A couple of patients didn't think that it was appropriate. We've responded to that as the directors and asked those people to have a chat with their practice manager directly, just to address the concerns. They may not be aware of the abuse that we all get on the front desk. As we've discussed already, we've got more regional reps now in the background, and if you're a regional rep on this call, please make sure we've got your lovely photo. And membership now at 600, which is fantastic. But come on, this is my Bob Geldof moment. You've heard this before. We need your money, guys. We need it because we need that admin support in the background. We can't do what we're doing without somebody sorting everything out for us. So if you've not paid up yet, get on and do it. If you think there's somebody that you work with, that you work near, that would be interested, make sure you send them the information, get them on board. Let's see what we can do. The more people we have, the more we are going to be recognised. Already people are coming to us directly, and we've seen that with PCSE, and we can talk about that in a bit more detail. But we need more of you. We need to be representative of practice management in general in the whole of the UK. We can't do that without more members. So do what you can, spread the word.
Nick, I think it's Nick, sorry, yeah. I was going to just jump in. Hi, it's Jo. Just to say, really, yes. I think sometimes practice managers don't realise if they don't pay their £50 for their membership, they won't get the communication and the newsletters. And we're doing a lot of direct support with practice managers, but if you're not a paid member, we're unable to resource that. So just so that you know, guys, you won't get all of the information that you would need, especially like for things like the summer series if you're not a paid member. That's all. Yeah,
thank you, Jo, for that. Thanks. We're continuing to work with the UK bodies in the background, having regular meetings now. BMA, PCSE, we're now linking to NHS England, specifically to the people who hold the capita contract. So, you know, we've got all of this going on, and we are making some headway. There are some things that we're not quite getting to as quickly as we would like. New in Partnership scheme is one of those, and we can talk about that as well. But we are gaining support. People are coming to us, which is brilliant. We co-signed a letter with the BMA about the performance of PCSE, and we've got a follow-up meeting with PCSE coming up fairly soon, because despite some conversations, our end of June statements were in a bit of a mess. So we need to keep feeding that back. CQC are hugely supportive, which is great. We've got them on board, and we're going to have these open conversations now so that they understand the sorts of things that we're up against. And when they're asking questions, they know how it feels to be on the receiving end of that. Jo is working with ITV on a documentary. Jo, do you want to just pitch in there and just say a little bit about that?
Yeah, documentary, just to say, the producer's working with us quite closely. It's a follow-up from the abuse campaign. It's also wrapped around NHS waits and backlogs, and that's why we're getting some of the flack for that. What they would really love, I spoke to them this morning, is if you have any footage or photographs of patients being really aggressive, and they've promised that they can pixelate it or blur it out, change the voices and that sort of thing. But they felt that that would be really, really amazing if we had some actual real live examples. So, but that's going to happen sometime in August, but we don't know what date it is yet. Once we know, we'll share that with you.
Fantastic, thank you, Jo. And lastly, we had a request from a member about developing some guidance for our trans patients. So we're working now with Indigo Gender Services around this, patient records and that sort of thing, because there's quite a lot of confusion around what we can do, what we should do, what we should be doing, and being a little bit more proactive, I think. So look out for more information about that. And that's me for the moment. Thank you. Thanks, Kay.
Thank you, Nicola. And we're on to Jo. And Jo, I'm going to make you do this really quickly, if that's okay.
Massively quickly. So yeah, NHS new to partnership scheme is definitely still there on the table. We're still negotiating. BMA aren't actually really talking to NHS England at the moment. They've had a bit of a pause in their discussions, but absolutely it's still on the table. Accreditation, we're really nearly there. We're hoping to launch that in October. You can read the slides. We'll tell you about the next campaign in a moment. Yeah, Kay and I are talking West Sussex practice managers. And yeah, I've been asked to chair on behalf of the IGPM a stream at Practice Management in Practice in London. There you go. That was quick, wasn't it?
Yeah, very. So just a little bit about that next campaign. What we thought was that the kind of signposting agenda gets a bad press. So following on from our last campaign, we thought if we had this right care, right time, Robin's come up with a brilliant script. And what we would do is have a GP at the beginning speaking about why they're not the right person, and then going through a list of other professionals who said, you know, I can help you with this, I can do this, I can do that. And then at the end have a receptionist who was obviously a receptionist in work, in a uniform, his uniform, explaining why it's really important that people are honest with them. And we think this is a great follow-up, and it will be great support to us and our reception teams. So if you've got anybody who works in your practice that you think would be good, somebody confident, somebody with an accent would be really good if we could have a variety of people from across the UK who would be good at doing this, then please let your regional rep know or talk to us on Twitter or Facebook. So that's our plan for the next campaign. Just quickly before we go on to our guest, these are some dates for your diary, and we will be promoting those on social media. The important thing for all of these is it's no good unless we have your questions. So I imagine that by the time we get to session 4 to PCSE, you'll have tons of questions. It would be really good if you could send those in to us, and we can ask them on your behalf. So it will be a conversation, and we can ask them the difficult questions. So please do bear this in mind. Keep an eye on social media, and if you're a paid member, you'll get a reminder about these things. And we're nothing without you. So please do ask us or tell us the questions to ask. Right, I'm going to miss that because I'm conscious that we've got a wonderful special guest that Jo's going to introduce for you, and I need to give him 10 minutes so we can come back to the other questions. Thanks, Jo.
Hi, so yeah, it's a real pleasure actually to welcome Richard House. Richard House is a behavioural design expert, amongst lots of other things, but that's kind of appropriate to what he's going to talk about now. He's certainly coached me and really helped me with my career development and my personal development as well. So really, really delighted to hand over to Richard. Thank you, Richard.
So thank you, and Kay, thank you. I'll keep to that 10-minute time frame. Kay, you're managing the slides, so move that one on. Folks, hello, and thank you for letting me be here and taking some time up. I hope there's value in this for you. By the end of these 10 minutes, my expectation is that you've designed one new habit for yourself that you can go back to work and apply today. So that's the aim for these 10 minutes. I'm a behaviour design expert. I work with Dr. BJ Fogg. I'm part of his coaching team over at Stanford University. I've worked in primary care for the last 3 years, on and off, nationally. And as Jo says, I coach many CDs, GP partners, practice managers, and I'm running team leader programs for Wessex right now. Okay, move that one on for me. If I could invite you all, and if you had a magic wand and create one habit for yourself at work, I wonder what that would be. And I invite you to consider that just for a second. So just think about, if you could create one habit for yourself, what would that be? And as you're thinking about that, let me share something with you. The good news is it's not your fault. The good news is it's not your fault that on the 17th of January, you didn't go to the gym as you were expecting to. The good news is that it's not your fault you ate the dairy milk that was in the fridge on the 12th of Jan. And I say Jan because normally that's when we do habits, right? And it isn't your fault that you still only read one line of your book before falling asleep, or you don't write in your journal, or whatever it might be. And I like the fact that Nikki said straight away she'd love a tidy desk. The reason it's not your fault is because you didn't learn the systematic approach, which has now been designed to form habits. The great news is that we're now not asking the question, how do we form a sustainable habit? The question is, what habits would I like to create for myself? And as you can see here, we coach thousands of people globally around these themes, and these are some of the habits, when I look back over my coachees over the last wee while, that came up most often. You know, the biggest one is digital detox. How do I step away from my phone? How do I stop scrolling in the morning or scrolling before bedtime, etc.? I'm going to give you the tools to be able to start very small, tiny, the way in which the tools to be able to do this for yourself. Okay, if you flick on to the next slide. Wouldn't that be nice? You know, just in your world, if you formed a habit just to drink your coffee whilst it was still hot, huh? Okay, if you move on to the next slide. So what does this mean? Well, here's the upshot. Here is the headline news. For any behavior to happen, including yours, and I'm looking at you individually here as practice managers in complex, demanding, challenging environments, 3 things have to happen at the same time. You've got to be motivated to want to tidy your desk. You've got to be able to do it, to have some ability, and there needs to be a prompt. And when those 3 things align at the same time, behaviors change. And guess what, folks? It's not just your behavior, but it's your team's behaviors too. This doesn't just apply to you. You know, that really tricky person that you've tolerated their behavior for so long in the practice? This stuff works for them as well. So whilst we only have 10 minutes today, it's a conversation to continue. So when a behavior doesn't happen, it's because one of those 3 things isn't happening. Okay, so with that in mind, if you could click on a second, Kay, we call this BMAP. So all I want you to remember, so all you need to remember from this short session, BMAP. Behavior equals the motivation to do something, the ability to do it, and a prompt. Think about comic relief. You're motivated to watch comic relief. You may even be motivated to donate. It's easy to do. All you've got to do is text the number and the amount, and the prompt, where you get prompted all of the time through the television to do it. And what Dr. BJ Fogg did, he made this world-renowned for every single social media platform that you use currently uses the BMAP model. And for anybody that plays Candy Crush, it's really, really good at doing this. It motivates you, it's super simple, and it gives you a prompt all of the time, which is why we become addicted to likes. And it's why it becomes habit that we check Instagram so often, etc. So this is at the heart of everything we do, BMAP. Any behavior equals motivation, ability, and prompt. And fundamentally, to change someone's behavior, especially those people in your teams, we need to help them do what they already want to do and feel successful doing it, because emotions create habits, not repetition. Everything you've learned about repetition, it isn't true. There's a correlation between repetition and a habit, but it's not the causation. The causation is how good it feels. And if it doesn't feel good, guess what? You don't create the habit. Okay, move on to the next slide. So this is what it looks like in a visual format, but I've not got enough time to tell you this in detail, other than to say, fundamentally, if something is really difficult to do, i.e., it's on the left of the scale, you can see ability at the bottom there, you've got to be super motivated to get it done. For example, if you want someone to do something in your team and code differently, make it super, super simple and easy so we don't rely on their motivation, because motivation is an inconsistent wave. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. It is unreliable. We want to design motivation out of any behavior. We want to make it super simple and give people an easy prompt to get it done. So what does this mean for you and your habits? Okay, next slide. So what this means for you is this. Here is a recipe. This is the most simple recipe for creating a habit. And it's all about the power of after. So here's what I'd like you to think about. Think about all of what we call anchor moments in your day, an existing routine that already happens that you can attach a tiny behavior to. And then think about the tiny behavior you want as a habit, but make it super small. And do it directly after the anchor. I'll give you an example in a moment. And the bit that I'm awful at, because I'm a self-deprecating Brit, and you'll be probably the same, celebrating. It's great if you're on the west coast of California, but it's no good if you're in the New Forest in England to celebrate something you've done that's so tiny. But guess what? Emotions create habits. So if we can increase the sense of reward and dopamine, it wires in the habit. Neuroscience has taught us that. So that's the recipe. It's super simple. Okay, if you click on, you're going to see 3 habits that you could form tomorrow. How about this? After your feet touch the floor in the morning, tell yourself today is going to be a good day and celebrate. And you'll be amazed at how quickly that becomes part of your everyday routine. Because we might say mindfulness and purpose and intentionality is really important, and we should definitely do that, but we never help people to design for it. How about the second one? After you put your bag down in the morning when you're getting to work, pause and take 3 deep breaths. Think of one thing you're grateful for and celebrate the fact that you've just done it. You'll be being mindful and having gratitude as something you do every day before you know it. It'll be part of your identity. It'll be part of who you are. And how about this? And go with me on it. The most routine thing you do every day, the most routine anchor is going to the loo. You will do that 7 or 8 times a day. After you wash your hands, do 3 stretches, do a squat, anything you like, but show yourself that you exercise every single day. Because you're not going to have the time to go to the gym, probably. You're not going to have the time to sit down and really reflect and be mindful, because the pace of work in your world is so great. So designing it into your everyday, super important. Okay, move it on. We've got 1 minute to go. What are you going to do? What could you do? What is an anchor moment that happens every single day in your world? And what tiny behavior would you really, really like? And then how might you celebrate? Because that is absolutely the architecture, it's the blueprint for you designing habits for you in your world. So if you get a second, stick it in chat and put something in chat that is your habit that you would like. After I brush my teeth in the morning, I'll look in the mirror and floss 1 tooth. You'd be amazed at how quickly you're flossing every single tooth just by doing that. Okay, so tiny habits. If you click onto the last slide, Kay, really good news, and this is because the work that I do in primary care is super important to me. I work all over the globe with big corporates as well as NHS, but this is my home and this is where I work and this is what I love, hence a decade in mental health services that I spent leading education. There's a free 5-day coaching program on habit formation. I'm offering it to all of you. There's no catch. It's not about me trying to sell you something. I promise you, BJ Fogg just wants to do good in the world. This is it. If you click on my link here or cut and paste it, Kay, Jo, Nikki have also, I think, Jay, you did it with me, didn't you, Jo? It's free. I'll coach you through habit formation. You're really, really welcome to do this with me. I'll coach you personally, but you need to click on that link or click on, cut and paste it. Contact me, fill out the form, and I'll coach you through habit formation. Keep going. Lots of love. Love you all. See you next time.
Thanks, Richard, and we really do appreciate you spending the time. I know you're halfway through delivering another NHS course today, so thank you for using your lunch hour to talk to us. And the reason we kind of wanted this today is that there are coaching offers from NHS England, so there is the Looking After You Too programme, but actually what Richard offers is something that us as practice managers know that sometimes, although giving an hour of your time is really important and it's important for your own well-being and your own personal progression, sometimes what you can manage is squatting after you've had a wee, and that's just as important. I put in the chat what I have done since I've known Richard, and that is, instead of just putting 30 minutes in the treadmill, I put 5k, and it takes me about 45 minutes to walk my 5k. And sometimes I manage it and sometimes I don't, but the habit is putting in the 5k rather than just sticking at the 30 minutes, which I can manage. So it's challenging me all the time to be better. So thank you, and please, I don't know if anyone's copied this into the chat. Could somebody copy this into the chat? Yeah, Nicola's nodding. Fabulous. Okay, so before we finish off, if there's any quick questions to Richard, I think he's here for about 2 more minutes. Last update, sorry, that they could go into the chat box. I just wanted to tell you what we're doing over the next few weeks. We're continuing to carry on raising the profile of managers, and we're not just talking about practice managers. So when we talked about, you know, getting more members and getting more voices, we're talking about assistant practice managers and those people who might be finance managers within general practice. The accreditation scheme is nearly there. I think it was Nicola who said that. It might have been Jo, actually, I can't remember. We're just about to test it with our reps, and then we'll be able to offer it to you. You'll be able to go through the process and then have those letters after your name. And we're so excited to be able to offer that to you and go back to those those bodies and say, you've now got professional practice managers. They are accredited, and that's always been the stumbling block when we've talked to these big organisations. So if you've got another question for us, please ask it in Mentimeter or ask it in the chat. Are there any themes or any questions? I can't see the chat. Jo and Nicola, anything?
I think some people are saying they've a really good reaction to Richard and asking if there's any more advice on where they can get additional coaching and things like that. So that would be really good. Maybe Richard could help us with that. Other than that, it's just overwhelming support as ever. Thank you all so much. It's brilliant.
Fabulous. So yeah, Richard is available on that link, and you'll all get copies of the slides as well, so you'll be able to get his details. Don't forget, they're looking after you too. I know we talk about this a lot, but it is free coaching advice from NHS England, and some of Richard's colleagues have formed part of that support for lots of people across the NHS. So our final slide is always that we're never going to be for profit. We'll always be practice managers at heart, and you will be the most important part of our constitution. We can't be anything without you. So your ideas, your support, your membership, and you going through that process of accreditation is what will make us successful. So I think I might have just about made it for 1 o'clock. Don't know how we've done that. We'll see you same time next week, and we'll be talking about social prescribing and how you can make that work in your practice, really practical ideas. So from us, thank you so much. We've loved spending our lunch hour, well, our lunch half hour with you. Thank you.